Today we visited Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, the largest known cave system in the world. And then we drove through a weird area called Land Between the Lakes and ended up at a hotel in Paducah, right on the Illinois border. The Four Seasons Country Inn provided breakfast for us. A simple menu, some of which we may or may not have stolen for a picnic later in the day. We took our own food and my foil pack of insulin from the refrigerator and went out to visit the cow pasture one last time, this time in the morning sunshine of southern Kentucky. We only met these guys last night, but it was like saying goodbye to old friends. It was another great day for driving through the heart of Glasgow and then more rolling farmland. But despite the warm and friendly daytime out here, we were actually headed somewhere dark and cold, underground to Mammoth Cave National Park. And as you get closer to the park, things get more touristy. I guess it kind of increases the anticipation. An hour and a half later, we were there. Mammoth Cave is a national park, a World Heritage Site, and an International Biosphere Reserve. Being underground, the place doesn't look too remarkable from the road. Still, being within a national park boundary is always kind of exciting. It felt like we were close to something important and amazing. In the visitor center, we made sure we had our tickets for the Domes and Dripstones tour and checked out the displays and the store. The brochure explains the history and the layout of the park, and they had 2 tokens for our collection. Mammoth Cave has been famous a long time. It was already a tourist destination when this 1823 geography textbook was written. It became a national park in 1926 and is now by far the most extensive known cave system in the world. Only about 300 of the suspected 900 or so miles have been discovered and explored. As this display puts it, the passages intertwine like a shallow platter of spaghetti. The brochure explains that the park is really all about the Green River, which flows through the area at the ground level, and whose water seeps through the sandstone to form underground rivers and create the amazing limestone formations that we were going to see. Ranger Rachel and Ranger Ashley were our guides, and we all hopped on the green bus to go to the cave entrance. After a short hike through the woods to a nondescript but oddly out-of-place door, you step down into a world of precipitous inclines, tight squeezes, and dramatic lighting. We stopped periodically for a brief talk from a ranger. Sometimes they told us to be quiet to let us hear the eerie, echoing sounds of distant dripping, and they turned off the lights to show us true darkness. Algae, which isn't supposed to be here, grows in the cave due to the old yellow lighting system. Now the National Park Service has upgraded to LED lights, and the algae is slowly dying off. One of the NPS's tireless efforts to preserve national parks for future generations. And I'm glad that this was all still here for us. After an hour or so in the cool caverns of Kentucky, we said goodbye to the cave crickets and re-emerged into the vivid green daytime. It was a great tour. You have to clean your shoes to not track any unwanted life forms anywhere else, and with that, and another failed attempt at photographing my blood sugar meter in the sun, it was 94, we drove to a nearby pullout for a picnic lunch. The next part of the drive was surprisingly rural, and it was great. I think any day where you drive along a road with no lines painted on it is a good day. But eventually you have to rejoin the world and its various hassles and infrastructure, and that turned out to be a good thing today, because next we stumbled onto something we had no idea about. This is the Lawrence Memorial Bridge. Since this footage was taken, it's been torn down because that new one on the right opened. But anyway, it leads you over the Cumberland River, which widens here into Lake Barkley. And at the end of the lake, just ahead, is the beginning of something called the Land Between the Lakes National Recreation Area. It's made of two long, thin lakes created by dams parallel to one another, Lake Barkley on the Cumberland River, and then Kentucky Lake on the Tennessee River. The land between is teeming with great natural spots and recreational activities. Unfortunately, I hadn't done my research enough and wasn't expecting any of this, so we raced as fast as we could, even skipping our usual photo session at the sign, to get to the visitor center before they closed. Alas, we pulled up at 5:01 and the employees were just locking it up. All we could do was grab the brochure and walk around the building and go back and get our photos of the sign. The land between the lakes is overseen by the Forest Service, not the National Park Service, and although we missed the visitor center, I consider it a successful destination for this trip's checklist. And after all that, we got back on the highway west, over the Tennessee River and Kentucky Lake on Egner's Ferry Bridge. One more look at the river we first passed over yesterday in Knoxville under the Sun Sphere. Land Between the Lakes looks like a great place to spend more time, but you can't see everything on a road trip like this. The late afternoon sun kept pulling us along. We had a hotel reservation in Paducah, Kentucky, a flat city right on the Illinois border. Dinner was from Steak and Shake. We checked into the room at Thrifty Inn, a hotel since torn down. We couldn't figure out how to turn the air conditioner off, so we covered it the best we could, ate our gourmet Kentucky cuisine in the freezing cold air, and looked out the window to the sunset over Paducah and toward the next part of our trip, the Midwest. Next, after a day of hanging around the hotel in Paducah, we stop at the National Quilt Museum, cross some amazing bridges into Illinois and then into Missouri, pose with Superman, and then drive through the dust apocalypse to mega-touristy Branson, Missouri.